I never thought I'd be standing in the living room of our old family home in Spokane, Washington, feeling like a stranger in my own skin.
I'm Denise Brooks.
30 years old, and I've hustled my way to owning a thriving fashion boutique downtown. Thread and Spark, that's my baby. Born from late nights, sketching designs, and scraping together every dime from waitressing gigs. But on that crisp autumn afternoon, with the Cascade Mountains looming like silent judges through the window, my brother Owen's words hit me like a freight train. "Get out of this house," he snarled, his voice slicing through the air like a rusty blade. My parents, Norman and Sharon, just sat there on the worn leather couch, exchanging smug glances that screamed they'd been in on this all along. No words from them. No defense, just that knowing look, as if they'd rehearsed it. I'd driven up from my apartment in the city, expecting maybe a tense coffee chat, the kind where old grudges bubble up but never boil over. Our family had always been like that. Owen, the golden boy with his football glory days and real estate dreams, soaking up all the spotlight while I faded into the background. But this was a full-on ambush. His demand wasn't just about kicking me out, it was a declaration of war. A reminder that in their eyes, I was still the afterthought. The air in the room thickened, heavy with years of favoritism I'd tried to bury. Yet, deep down, a spark ignited in me, a fire I hadn't felt since I was a kid doodling outfits in my notebook during his games. I wasn't that overlooked girl anymore. I'd built an empire on my own terms, and damn if I was going to let them erase me now. What they didn't know was the bombshell I'd uncovered just weeks before, a secret buried for 2 years that could turn their little power play on its head. My grandmother Leona had always been my rock, the one who saw the artist in me when everyone else was blinded by Owen's touchdowns. And now, her legacy was about to shake the foundations of this house. But how did we get here? How does a place filled with childhood memories turn into a battlefield? Let me take you back to where it all started. In the suburbs of Spokane, where the winters bite hard and family ties can cut even deeper. Growing up in our modest ranch-style home on the outskirts of town, I learned early on that love in our family came with conditions, and Owen met them all. He was the star quarterback at the local high school, the kind of kid who could charm a crowd with a grin and a spiral pass. My parents poured everything into him: private coaches, gear from the best sporting goods stores in Seattle, even road trips to college scouts across the Pacific Northwest. "He's got NFL potential," Dad would boast at barbecues, his chest puffed out like he'd thrown the passes himself. Mom would nod along, her eyes glued to game footage on the old VCR, while I'd sit in the corner, sketching dresses inspired by the wildflowers blooming along the Spokane River.
Me?
I was just Denise, the quiet one with big dreams but no spotlight. By age 10, I saw the pattern clear as day. Money always flowed Owen's way first. They enrolled him in that fancy prep academy with the championship team, even when it meant skipping vacations or fixing up the house. "It's an investment in his future," Mom would say, brushing off my pleas for art supplies. I didn't resent the work. I bagged groceries at the local Safeway starting at 16 to fund my own community college classes in design. It built character, taught me to hustle. But the sting of being second best? That never faded. I'd come home from shifts smelling like produce, only to hear them planning Owen's next big thing. Fashion became my sanctuary. I'd raid thrift stores in downtown Spokane, turning faded jeans into custom skirts for my friends. At 17, I pulled off a makeshift fashion show in the school gym, transforming it into a runway with string lights and borrowed speakers. The crowd, mostly classmates and a few teachers, cheered as my bold, earthy designs strutted out, inspired by the rugged beauty of the inland Northwest. My heart pounded with pride, But where were my parents? At Owen's playoff game in Boise, Idaho. 3 hours away. We'll make the next one. Sweetie, Dad said over the phone, his voice drowned out by crowd noise. I swallowed the hurt, plastered on a smile, and kept stitching. The one person who truly got me was Grandma Leona. She'd invite me over to her cozy bungalow near Manitou Park, where we'd sip herbal tea and sew under the warm glow of her vintage lamp. You've got a gift, Denise, she'd say, her wrinkled hands guiding mine through tricky hems. Don't let anyone dim your light. She shared stories of her own youth, designing costumes for community theater in the 60s, dreaming big in a small town. When I won a local art contest at 18 with a hand-stitched gown, she framed the ribbon and hung it in her kitchen. My parents? They glanced at it during dinner and went back to debating Owen's scholarship offers. Nice job, Mom muttered, passing the potatoes. Those years forged me like steel in a forge. The favoritism was a constant ache, but it pushed me to stand alone. Every late-night shift, every rejected sketch, was a step toward independence. Grandma's belief was my lifeline. She saw the fire in me and fanned it. As I packed for college, her words echoed, "Build your own path,
Girl.
the world needs your spark." Little did I know, her faith would one day hand me the keys to everything and ignite a family storm I never saw coming. After graduating with a degree in fashion merchandising from Eastern Washington University, I threw myself into building Thread and Spark. At 23, I was done playing second fiddle. I'd saved enough from side gigs to snag a lease on a quirky storefront in the Perry district, Spokane's artsy hub with its coffee roasters and street murals. The place was a fixer-upper, peeling paint, leaky roof, but it was mine. I learned the ropes the hard way, sourcing sustainable fabrics from Seattle suppliers, mastering QuickBooks on free online tutorials, and sewing prototypes until my fingers blistered. Starting out was a grind. I'd open at dawn, arrange displays of my signature pieces, flowy blouses with Northwest-inspired prints, tailor jackets that screamed confidence, and pray for foot traffic. Early mistakes hit hard, a bad batch of dye that ruined a whole line, a vendor who stiffed me on delivery. But I adapted, networked at local maker fairs, and turned setbacks into fuel. One lucky break came at a Chamber of Commerce event, where I met Hope Turner, a whip-smart attorney fresh out of Gonzaga Law. She eyed my sketches over cheap wine and said, "These are killer. Mind if I look at your lease?" Her tweaks saved me from a predatory clause, locking in affordable rent. We bonded fast, she over black coffee, me with sketches in hand, and she became my legal guardian angel for all things business. Meanwhile, Owen was riding high on our parents' endless support. They cashed out retirement funds to back his real estate flips, buying fixer-uppers in the booming Spokane Valley market.
Me?
They offered a token loan once, over a strained Thanksgiving dinner. "You look like you could use a boost," Dad said, implying my boutique was a hobby. I turned it down flat. "I'm good," I replied, chin up. Accepting would mean strings attached, and I'd cut those long ago. Thread and Spark grew organically. A feature in the Spokesman Review called me Spokane's rising fashion force, drawing in crowds from Coeur d'Alene to Pullman. I hosted workshops for teens, teaching them to upcycle clothes, giving back to the community that embraced me. Owen's empire? It started cracking. Whispers from old friends hinted at sour deals, mounting debts. Parents never mentioned it, but I saw the worry lines deepen on their faces. I didn't rub it in. My success was satisfaction enough. But then, last month, a letter from Grandma Leona's estate attorney shattered the fragile peace. It was straightforward. Contact us regarding Leona Harris's will. My heart clenched, not from fresh grief. She'd passed 2 years back from a quiet heart condition, but from intuition. Something big was afoot. I met the attorney in his understated office near Riverfront Park. "Your grandmother left you her home," he said, handing over the notarized will.
Soleil.
To honor its spirit in a way only I could. Her handwritten note attached. "Denise, you've always created beauty from nothing. Make this house a haven for dreamers." Tears stung my eyes. She'd seen me.
Truly.
Then the twist. Your brother contested it 2 years ago. Claimed undue influence. He lost, but he kept it quiet. Rage simmered. Owen had tried to steal it behind my back. I called Hope immediately. "Dig into this," I urged. Her findings? Owen had lied to our parents, saying no will existed, that the house defaulted to family, all while plotting to flip it for cash. The deception cut deep. This wasn't just greed, it was erasure. With Hope's help, I pieced together the puzzle. But the real gut punch came when I confronted Owen about his secret contest. I couldn't let it slide. Driving to his condo in the valley that evening, the Spokane sunset painting the sky in fiery oranges, I rehearsed my words.
No screaming.
Just facts. He opened the door in sweatpants, looking haggard, far from the cocky quarterback I remembered. "What do you want?" "Denise," he grumbled, blocking the entry like I was a solicitor. I held up the will copy. "Explain this. You tried to fight Grandma's wishes 2 years ago and didn't tell a soul." His face drained of color, eyes darting like a trapped animal. "That's none of your business," he snapped. But his voice cracked. "Pressed." He admitted it. I needed the money. My flips were tanking, and the house could have bailed me out.
No apology.
Just entitlement. It's family property anyway. I shook my head, disbelief turning to steel.
No. Owen.
It's mine.
Grand chose me.
He slammed the door. But the damage was done. That night, I lay awake, wondering how blood could turn so cold. The next day, I visited our parents' house, hoping for clarity. They were in the den, watching a Seahawks game rerun, classic avoidance. I laid out the will and Owen's contest. Mom's eyes widened. "He said there was no will," she whispered, glancing at Dad. He shifted uncomfortably. We trusted him, but their shock faded fast into defense. "Maybe he had a point," Dad muttered. "The house should have been shared." I felt the old wound reopen. They were still picking sides. "Grandma didn't think so," I said firmly. "She knew I'd honor it." The conversation spiraled. Accusations of me being distant, them claiming Owen needed more. I left frustrated, but determined. This wasn't just about bricks and mortar. It was about respect I'd earned. Hope advised me to secure my claim legally. In Washington state, wills are probate matters. And with notarization, it was airtight. But Owen's contest had muddied the waters. He'd filed under lack of capacity, claiming Grandma was frail. The court had dismissed it swiftly. Her doctor testified she was sharp as a tack. Still, I filed a quiet title action to affirm ownership, notifying the county recorder. It was procedural, but empowering, my first step in fighting back without full war. As weeks passed, the drama escalated. Owen started texting threats. "You'll regret this." Parents called, guilting me. Family first. Denise. I leaned on my boutique for sanity, channeling stress into new designs, rugged yet elegant pieces inspired by the Palouse Hills. A local influencer wore one to a festival, boosting sales. Success felt bittersweet amid the chaos. Then, digging deeper with hope, we uncovered the mortgage mess. Public records showed our parents had refinanced the house 2 years back, pulling equity to invest in Owens LLC. Over $200,000, with payments delinquent. The bank, a big national lender, had issued a notice of default.
Foreclosure loomed.
I confronted them again, documents in hand. You mortgaged my inheritance to bail out Owen? Dad sighed. It was for his future, Mom added. We didn't know about the will. Lies or denial didn't matter. The lien complicated everything. Under Washington law, as heir, I inherited subject to debts. But I could challenge misuse. Hope explained options. Pay it off. Negotiate with the bank. Or sue for breach if they acted fraudulently. My gut said fight, but my heart whispered for mercy. Let's mediate, I suggested to them over coffee. Admit the favoritism. Cut Owen off financially. And I'll help with the mortgage. They balked. You're blackmailing us, Mom accused. Owen, lurking in the background, sneered. No deal. Hurt turned to resolve. I instructed Hope to proceed with a lease pendens, filing notice of my lawsuit to block any sale. It froze the property, buying time. The bank paused foreclosure upon my ownership proof. Owen retaliated by spreading rumors in our small circle. Denise is greedy, tearing the family apart. Old friends texted support, others ghosted. It stung. But my community rallied. Boutique regulars brought casseroles, sharing their own family horror stories. One evening, sketching by the river, I reflected on Grandma's note. Make it a haven. Maybe this fight was her way of forcing growth. The tension peaked at a family dinner I foolishly attended. Owen exploded. You're ruining everything. Parents sided with him, echoing old lines about his potential. I stood, voice calm. I've got potential too. And Grandma saw it, walking out. I felt liberated. No more shadows. But as I drove through Spokane's twinkling lights, doubt crept in. Was victory worth the rift? Hope reassured me. Justice isn't always easy. But it's right. We prepped for court, gathering affidavits from Grandma's friends attesting to her intent. The case would hinge on probate law, clear title via will.
Yet,
I yearned for more than a win. I wanted understanding. Months into the battle, a breakthrough came unexpectedly. Digging through Grandma's old boxes I'd retrieved from storage, I found letters, decades of correspondence between her and Mom. They revealed layers, Mom's own dreams crushed by early marriage, projecting onto Owen. A photo album showed me as a toddler, Grandma holding me with pride. It humanized them, softened my anger. Perhaps this wasn't pure malice, but generational pain. I shared snippets with Hope. Maybe offer olive branches, she suggested. But first, protect what's mine. Court loomed. A Spokane County hearing. Owen hired a slick attorney from Seattle, arguing family intent over the will. Mine countered with ironclad evidence, witnesses, medical records. The judge, a no-nonsense woman, leaned our way early. But before ruling, she urged settlement. In a sidebar, I proposed again. I pay the mortgage. They vacate but rent back affordably, with counseling for the favoritism. They hesitated. Owen stormed out, but parents nodded wearily. We messed up, Dad admitted quietly. It wasn't full redemption, but a crack in the wall. As we adjourned for talks, I felt the drama shifting from revenge to repair. Spokane's resilient spirit mirrored mine, the city that rose from fires. Like I'd rise from this. Grandma's house could be more than a prize, a bridge. But would they cross it? The mediation session in a neutral conference room downtown Spokane felt like stepping into a pressure cooker. Hope sat beside me, her notepad filled with bullet points on Washington probate statutes and lien priorities. Across the table, my parents looked smaller than I remembered, Dad's shoulders slumped, Mom fiddling with her coffee cup. Owen paced in the corner, his attorney whispering strategies. The mediator, a retired judge with a folksy drawl, laid ground rules. This is about resolution.
Folks.
Not winners and losers. But in my heart, it still felt like a showdown. I started strong, recapping the will's clarity under RCW 11.12, Grandma's intent unambiguous, notarized, and uncontested successfully before. The house is mine, I stated, but I'm open to letting you stay if we address the root issues. Hope slid over a proposed agreement. I'd assume the mortgage, I'd crunch numbers. Boutique profits could cover it with a refi. They'd pay modest rent, and we'd all commit to family therapy. No more bailouts for Owen. It's fair, I added. Honors Grandma, and gives us a fresh start. Owen erupted first. This is extortion. You've always been jealous of my success. His lawyer hushed him, but the venom hung. Parents exchanged glances, that smug look gone, replaced by weariness. Mom spoke softly. We never meant to hurt you.
Denise.
We just. Owen needed us more. It was the closest to an admission yet. Dad nodded. We favored him. Thought it was protecting the family. Therapy? They balked initially. We're not broken, but the mediator probed. What's the alternative? Court. Eviction. Fractured ties. Silence stretched. Finally, Dad sighed. Okay. We'll try. We signed a tentative deal, pending court approval. Owen refused, storming out, but it didn't derail us. Driving home, relief mixed with caution. Was this real change? I tested it over the next weeks. Casual coffees where they asked about my designs. Not just Owen's job hunt. He'd grudgingly taken a sales gig at a home improvement store. Therapy started. A counselor in Cheney, specializing in family dynamics. Sessions were raw. I vented years of invisibility. They admitted projecting their unfulfilled dreams. We saw Owen as our do-over, Mom confessed. Tears flowing. It humanized them, no villains. Just flawed folks. But drama lingered. Owen, bitter, tried undercutting, calling the bank anonymously, hinting at disputes. Hope shut it down with a cease and desist. Legally, we finalized, court affirmed my title, dissolved the old mortgage via my refi, and enforced the rental agreement. Under Washington law, it was clean, no tax liens, clear chain of title. The house stayed mine, but with them as tenants, it felt shared in spirit. Transforming the space became my outlet. I renovated lightly, turned the garage into a mini studio for my fashion line, hosting pop-ups where locals sip craft beer and tried on pieces. One event drew a crowd from as far as Missoula, Montana. This place is soul, a buyer said. I smiled, thinking of Grandma. Owen even showed once. Awkward but civil. Nice setup, he muttered. Progress?
Yet.
Doubt snagged. Was I too forgiving? Hope reassured. Boundaries with compassion. That's strength. The boutique thrived, landing a contract with a Seattle retailer. Life balanced. Work. Therapy. Cautious family men's. Then, a curveball, Owen's debts caught up. Creditors sued him, risking garnishment. He called me. Voice broken. I screwed up. Help. Old me might have gloated. New me saw opportunity. Get counseling too, I said. We'll talk. Not a bailout, but guidance. Perhaps the real legacy was healing. As winter snow blanketed Spokane, I reflected by the fireplace Grandma loved. The fight taught me, revenge burns out, but redemption endures. Family isn't perfect, but worth fixing if all pitch in. In therapy, layers peeled. Mom shared her youth dropping college for marriage, regretting it. I pushed Owen because I couldn't. Dad admitted workaholism left emotional gaps. I owned my distance. I pulled away to protect myself. Breakthroughs came slow, like thawing ice on the Spoken River. Owen joined reluctantly after his lawsuit loss. Creditors forced bankruptcy counseling. In group sessions, he confessed, I took the easy road. Jealous of your grit. Cease. It wasn't Hallmark, but honest. Legally, Hope tied loose ends, estate taxes paid via my funds, ensuring no IRS snags under federal code. The house's title deed recorded in my name at the county assessor. Peace settled. I hosted a family barbecue in the backyard, grilling salmon from the Columbia River. Laughter echoed, first in years. Owen helped set tables.
No demands.
Thanks for the chance, he said quietly. The boutique's success amplified. A feature on King 5 News called me Spokane's Fashion Phoenix. Sales surged, allowing mortgage payoff acceleration. I donated proceeds to local arts programs, honoring Grandma. One kid, sketching like I once did, reminded me cycles break with effort. Looking ahead, the house symbolized resilience. Not war zone, but haven. Lesson learned, justice tempers with mercy builds stronger bonds. In the West's vast skies, room for second chances. Spring in Spokane brought renewal, lilacs blooming in Manitou Park, mirroring my family's tentative thaw. But old habits die hard, and Owen's resentment simmered. One evening, he showed up unannounced at the house, reeking of bar tabs. You think you're better now, he slurred, jabbing a finger.
Parents froze I stood firm.
This isn't helping. Go home. Sober up. He left muttering, but it rattled us. Therapy delved deeper, his entitlement rooted in pressure, mine in neglect. We all played parts, the counselor said. Progress? Owen enrolled in AA, inspired by a coworker's story. Small wins. Legally, stability solidified. Hope monitored, no appeals from Owen's side, as statutes of limitation passed under Washington civil procedure. I updated the rental lease, including clauses for maintenance, fair, enforceable. The mortgage refi through a local credit union lowered rates, easing burdens.
Boutiques.
I expanded, partnered with indigenous artists for prints inspired by Salish patterns, boosting cultural ties in the Northwest. A pivotal moment came during a session. Dad broke. I'm sorry.
Denise.
We failed you. Tears flowed. Hugs followed. Mom added. Your success? We're proud, late, but real. Owen grumbled apologies. I was scared of failing. It wasn't perfect, but cathartic. We planned a family trip, hiking in the Selkirks, rebuilding bonds amid nature's grandeur. Drama flared once more. A minor lien from Owen's old LLC surfaced, attempting attachment. Hope quashed it in court, citing my clear title. Fraudulent transfer attempt, the judge ruled, fining Owen. He hit rock bottom, but rebounded, started a legit contracting business.
No handouts.
Learned from you, he admitted over coffee. The house evolved. I added a community room, hosting sewing classes for underprivileged youth. One girl, eyes alight, echoed my young self. This changes everything. Grandma's spirit lived on. Boutique hit milestones. Online sales to California. A pop-up in Portland. Life balanced work, family,
Growth.
Reflection hit during a solo hike along the Centennial Trail. The fight wasn't vengeance. It was awakening. Article of faith. Families mend with effort. Law provides framework, but hearts seal deals. In the American West, where pioneers forged paths, we did too, stronger together. By summer's end, Spokane's heat waves gave way to harvest vibes, and our family found rhythm. Owen's business picked up, honest bids on remodels.
No shortcuts.
He repaid small debts to me, symbolically. Parents volunteered at my workshops. Dad, fixing shelves. Mom chatting with attendees. Your grandma would love this, she said, smiling genuinely. Therapy wrapped, tools lingered, open talks.
No assumptions.
A final legal bow, full mortgage payoff.
Date unencumbered.
Hope toasted. You turned drama to triumph. Boutique thrived, flagship expansion planned. I mentored Owen on books. Bridging gaps. The true end? A family dinner at the house. Laughter. Stories.
No shadows.
Owen raised a glass. To second chances. We clinked. Healed. Lesson light but profound. Favoritism fractures. But forgiveness forges. In the West's open lands, room for all to shine. My journey? Proof resilience wins. With heart.